Hi guys, welcome to Simplify LLC channel. Today we are going to talk about how to choose between an LLC and a sole proprietorship. But before we start, there is a subscribe button down below. Don't forget to hit it. You're starting a business and it's time to decide whether or not to incorporate, start as a sole proprietorship, or as an LLC. Well, we've got all the details on LLCs, sole proprietorships, and how to choose the right one for you. We'll also venture into filing the forms for an LLC. All right, let's get started. First off, know that you get a few bonuses, including legal protections, when you form an LLC, or limited liability company. So you may be asking what an LLC is. It's the most basic business structure to start operating a business. It's pretty easy to set up and operate. If you are the sole owner, you will be forming a single member LLC. If you have partners, you are all called members. And you can have as many members as you wish, and all of you have limited personal liability. So, should you form an LLC? It's a good option if you want to limit your liability and the personal liability of your business partners. You plan to bring in investors in the future. You plan to expand operations outside of your state. Or you want to build a brand. If you want to know more information about how to form an LLC, we have a separate video. Feel free to check out the link in the description box below. We have the basics of an LLC, so let's cover sole proprietorships. A sole proprietorship is basically self-employment. It's the simplest form of business ownership. You don't have to register with the state unless your industry is regulated and requires a professional license. This would be for attorneys, accountants, doctors, and the like. Sounds easy. It is. But you're missing out on the protection that an LLC provides. With a sole proprietorship, you have unlimited personal liability, with no separation between you as the owner and the business entity. You are responsible for any business debts, liabilities, and wrongdoings. Your personal assets are up for grabs if you get into any legal or financial difficulties. Should you use a sole proprietorship? It's how most entrepreneurs begin their businesses. It's perfect if you are in the early stages of a self-financed startup, doing a side hustle or part-time work, have really low risks due to the type of business you are operating. You may ask, how is a single member LLC not the same as a sole proprietorship? Legally, they are not the same. Remember that a sole proprietor has unlimited liability. An owner of a single member LLC is protected with limited liability. Let's cover the main differences. First off, the sole proprietorship is an easy way to get started. You don't have to file any official paperwork unless you need a professional license to perform your work in your industry in your state. The LLC does require official paperwork that needs to be filed to register your business with the Secretary of State. Your business name isn't protected with a sole proprietorship like an LLC. The costs of running a sole proprietorship are less than running an LLC. An LLC offers limited liability. There is no protection with a sole proprietorship. Therefore, there is no protection if you default on a loan for the business. Your assets are in jeopardy. You are the business and the company is you. Were you leaning towards an LLC? Well, registration requires that you complete the forms required by your state. These usually include the articles of organization and an operating agreement. You'll also need to appoint a registered agent and pay the filing fees. These fees are genuinely a few $100s. The state will review your application and approval takes a few weeks, and then you're in business. How does liability protection work? With an LLC, each member's liability is limited to their investment in the company, and only the assets of the LLC are at risk if financial or legal issues arise. Say your LLC has $100,000 in assets, including bank accounts, inventory, and equipment. Your LLC is sued for $150,000 when your business breaches a contract. Your LLC loses the suit. The plaintiff only recovers $100,000 because that is the entirety of your business assets. The other party may not be able to touch the assets of an LLC members, except in limited circumstances. Let's talk about branding. Since your LLC is a separate legal entity from you, it can have a registered brand name and trademarks if needed. However, you can apply for a DBA or doing business as with a sole proprietorship. Here's the additional work and cost associated with an LLC. As your LLC is registered with your Secretary of State, you will have to file an annual report unless you operate in Alabama, Arizona, Missouri, New Mexico, Ohio, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, and Texas. This report provides the most current information about your company. You'll inform the state of any changes in address, ownership, or registered agents on this report. And filing the annual report will cost you roughly $200 each year. File this annual report late, and you'll have to tack on late fees. And taxes. Both business structures must file them. but there are differences. If you have a sole proprietorship, you'll simply complete your Form 1040 and a Schedule C that lists your business's profits. And all business profits are your earnings. Remember that you have to take quarterly estimated tax payments during the year. You also will have a 15.3% self-employment tax for Social Security and Medicare. If you have an LLC, you'll have to complete separate tax forms for the business taxes. If it's a single member LLC, your tax returns are due on April 15th. If you have more than one member in your LLC, it's due a month earlier. An LLC is taxed at the federal level based on the number of members. Each member will receive a Schedule K-1 and pay self-employment taxes on their share of the business profits. Single members LLCs are taxed like sole proprietorships. Multi-member LLCs are taxed as a partnership. You have to complete a partnership tax return, Form 1065. LLCs offer the ability to choose your taxation status so you don't pay tax on the full income of the LLC. So that's the skinny on sole proprietorships and LLCs. LLCs provide legal protection and require upfront fees each year. But if you're a one-person small business and don't envision growing into a large entity, a sole proprietorship may be suitable for you. Well, that's it for us today. Thanks for taking a look at choosing LLC versus sole proprietorship. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Don't hesitate to leave any comments. And also feel free to check out www.SimplifyLLC.com for more information. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.